Here at KSMO Radio, it's time for our spotlight on the Salem Memorial District Hospital, and our nurse practitioner, Shelly Bland, is with us to talk about sports physical. It's that time of year.
Yes, it is, Dan. It's great.
Good to see you again, by the way.
You as well, Stan.
Very good. So, first off, how are things going at the clinic? And I know you've been there now a couple months now, right?
Correct.
Full time?
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
so how's it going?
Busy.
Well, that's good. But that's the way it's supposed to be, right?
Exactly. Yes, I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
I get so many kiddos over there. And I've already completed a few sessions of sports physicals. I went to Ellington a couple weeks ago and did sports physicals. We did about 25 down there. So,
Okay.
And that went really well. Parents were very appreciative.
And I knew you were doing some satellite sports physicals. Don't you have one scheduled for Viburnum?
I do have one scheduled for Viburnum. It's August 5th.
Okay.
I believe it's going to be from 9 to 3. I might be wrong on those hours, but it is August 5th. So
Okay.
we'll have that up on the website.
Yeah, well, we hope. And you know, well, you always think it's going to get on there. And yesterday they had some issues with Facebook. It wasn't working. And so, you just never know. You hope it's going to get, and I'm pretty sure it will be.
Oh,
No doubt
it'll get
about
done,
it. It'll
Stan.
get done there. I can trust you. How about the bunker area? You got anything scheduled for down that way?
So we don't currently have anything scheduled in the bunker area. I mean, but we're always open to it. All they have to do is call our office manager, and she'll get them put on the books. But we do have some coming up in Salem.
Okay,
We
like
have
soon.
Yes, and they'll be at the clinic. You can walk
Right.
in or you can call and make an appointment, whatever.
It's always usually better
Yes,
to make an appointment.
It always
Yeah,
is. You don't have to wait as long, especially with the busyness of late.
and
so,
sports physicals, and people like
Correct.
just keep rolling in.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we have them July 25th through the 28th. Then we
Okay.
have August 15th through the 19th. And then October 10th through the 14th.
Okay, so if you need a sports physical, now remember the MISHA rules have changed. So when you get a sports physical, like for this summer, you don't have to have one even next summer. You can go 2 years now, right?
Correct. Well, that is also based on the condition of the athlete as
Sure,
well.
sure.
So
But if everything's
sometimes,
perfect.
correct. Sometimes we can only verify them for about a year. Depending on what they have going on. Say you have an injury,
Right.
and we have to really kind of watch that, or you have asthma and you have a flare. We really have to kind of watch those kiddos. So.
Right, yeah, but I mean, if your physical is perfect and you're ready to
Correct.
go, you got a
Correct.
2-year waiver of having to get another one. But just like what you're saying, though, it may not be a bad idea. I always like getting a physical every year. You don't know, and when you play sports, you don't know when something happens to you that, okay, you take a hit, a bump, or whatever. Maybe you turn your ankle the wrong way. It hurts that time. You still continue to play on it. You've seen this. You've got
yes.
kids who play sports. All right, you don't really think about it, but then later on, the next year, you still got some pain there, or maybe you're not able to make that turn anymore, and you've got a little bit of a problem. I always find getting a physical is just a good idea every year.
Right, Stan. I mean, and especially if you have any kind of concerns whatsoever. And it doesn't take much, like you said, as far as injuries. Sometimes it's just the way we twist or turn. We're playing football, we stop, we make that turn, and we catch that ball. Well, we could tear a ligament doing that.
Yeah,
So
feel a little pop,
Right.
and you just keep playing because your
Yeah.
adrenaline's going, right?
Correct. And then you come to us and we evaluate you.
Well, no, but you're there for the safety of the child.
We are.
We
absolutely are.
And that's what MISHA wants, the safety of the child. They don't want somebody going out there with a partially torn ACL, not knowing it, and then go out there and rip that thing the rest of the way and then be done for a year and a half,
Correct.
possibly.
Yeah. And then it's also going to limit your mobility no matter what. Once you have that injury, you're always going to have a certain amount of limit to your mobility after that. That's why it's always good to just prevent it.
Well, one of the things that I always say with physicals, and it doesn't matter anytime you really go to the doctor, is to be open and honest and put a list together of the things that you know are a problem or have been a problem. Because that way, then your physician knows everything. They know exactly what to look for and can give you a true full physical. If they just walk in and say, everything's been fine. Well, you're going to give them a basic physical. You don't know of anything else. But if they've told you, hey, I got hit in the knee, my ankle got rolled on, my lower back, when I was lifting weights, I felt a little something pop in my back. You need to know all those things, don't you?
Oh, we absolutely do. And just on that note, a lot of kiddos have asthma. They don't want to say anything because they're afraid of it limiting their activity or their clearance. And that's not the case at all. We just want to make sure that the athlete is safe in playing. So if we know that, we can say, hey, do you have an inhaler? Do you have your medications? Just make sure you have those with you. And we can make sure that your coach knows and is agreeable to everything and your plan. And that just keeps the athlete safe.
I've had a lot of friends who've been diabetics, and a lot of them would not play sports because of their sugar levels. They didn't know where it was going to spike, go down. They all of a sudden get listless. They get dizzy sometimes. I remember playing ice hockey, college hockey, with a gentleman who had diabetes, and he had it pretty bad, and a very, very good hockey player,
Right.
but he had it pretty bad, and they were monitoring him virtually every half hour to an hour, just checking levels. And doesn't mean you can't play. It just means you have to be a little bit more diligent in what you have to do to play, right?
That's exactly right. And that's what I'm saying is if we know the conditions, we can make a plan for you so that you can go ahead and play those sports. Like you said, that shouldn't exclude you. Exercise is good for everybody. So sports is good for everybody, no matter what kind of condition you have. We just need to develop a plan that accommodates you and your illness. So absolutely.
And one of the neat things right now at the Salem Hospital is if you do have an injury and you go to get the physical and you still have some pain, let's say it's in an ankle or a knee or something of that nature, and the doctor says, hey, we really need to get a picture of this. You can get a cash option on that, not have to send it to your insurance, not have to pay that price. You can get a cash option price that's a lot cheaper, and that includes the radiologist reading it and checking it all out. Right there, you can get it. They could call right there and get it scheduled, right?
That's absolutely right. And with our new centralized scheduling as well, it takes no time whatsoever for me to get, even with your insurance, what it's going to cost or the authorization through your insurance. We've got a really good team right now. We've got a really good cohesive team that really gets things done quickly and effectively. So it's been great.
Sports physicals are not something to play with, and the kids should take it seriously too. That's why we say to be honest with your physician when you go. Everybody says, "Oh, it's not that big a deal." They check your reflexes. They hit the knee with the hammer. They do a little blood pressure test. They do a little this, a little that, coordination. There's a reason they do all that. But I remember playing college hockey when they took the blood tests. And at that time, if you had any issues, they pulled you aside. So if you have some issues, if you're tired, let's just say you're out there and you've been playing basketball camp this summer and you find yourself excessively tired, please tell your physician. Don't just say it's because of the heat. Maybe it is, but maybe it's not.
And that's exactly right. And there are some conditions that cause fatigue that it's kind of dangerous for you to play with in sports. Like we saw an outbreak of mono this past year, and really with mono, that's one of those viruses that can be detrimental to play sports with while you're sick with it, while you're acutely sick with it. And it takes like a 3 to 4 week recovery time before we can safely approve for you to go back to sports. So,
Right.
you really have to be diligent about those kind of things because a few weeks off as a youth is much better than a lifetime of not being able to play sports or being active.
I remember one year, Shelly, I graduated from ninth grade and was staying with some friends. Got done, and of course, in St. Louis, you graduate in June. So that weekend I was staying with some friends. I played on a baseball team. I played a traveling league, but I also played a local league. So here I am. We're over there having a good time. We're kids. We're playing
Correct.
sports. We're walking around, exploring, and taking hikes and stuff. And it was hot. It was a hot weekend in June. And I didn't really think too much about it, but I was really tired. And so I just kept doing what I was doing. Didn't really think too much about it. Got back Sunday. My mom came and picked me up, and she's, I'm not good with poison ivy. So there was some kind of like little whelps, like little spots on me. And she goes, "What the heck?" She goes, You okay? Feeling okay?" I say, "I feel fine. I'm a little tired." So she looked at it again, and then she actually just stripped me down, put me in the shower.
Oh, those
And,
moms.
well, I had measles.
Oh, boy.
No, I didn't know I had measles. When did I get them? I don't have any clue. The people around me didn't have them. School, must have got it at school, and must have been taking effect during that weekend. So here I am with measles. Here I'm playing sports, like you say. There's a recovery time. They shut you down right now.
Right.
No sunshine. No, I mean, you can be outside, but you cannot do any sunshine at all.
Right.
Dark rooms, different things. This is baseball season, man. This is the wrong time to have measles.
Right.
Well, anyway, I was very fortunate because most of my games got rained out.
Oh, well, that was lucky, Stan.
Yeah, well,
Only you.
Yeah, I was very fortunate, but I missed one week's of games, 1 week. But even when you come back, though, like you're saying, you just can't jump right back in there like nothing ever happened.
Correct.
You go out there in I remember my first game back after 3 innings. I was tired.
Oh, yeah.
Like running out there, being out in the heat because you haven't been in the heat. You haven't been out in the sunshine, and it's a lot brighter after you have
Correct.
measles, So
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing a lot of, with COVID. Kiddos are getting COVID, and they're going right back to things, and they're wondering why they just can't bounce back. And, well, COVID takes some people get what they call long haulers, and they just can't bounce back like they used to. They're winded, so they might need evaluation after that. They may need an inhaler for a little bit to just get them through the hump.
Sometimes you have to work back and get back to that level very slowly.
Yes, you do.
And unfortunately, and I probably would have been one of those that wouldn't have tried to do that. I'd try and do it all back in one day, and you just can't. And as you get older, you realize these things. You just can't pop back as quickly as you used to when you're 18, 17, 16. But it doesn't mean at 15, 16, 17, you go out there a day after you've been diagnosed with COVID and you have a very short breath. Maybe you're not breathing right.
Yes.
That in a week, I feel fine. You get out there, your lungs don't feel fine. They're not back to the capacity they were because if you had a shortness of breath, you have to retrain your lungs again, don't you?
Yes,
you
do. Yes,
again.
yes. And you got to let that blood volume build back up to where it can work with you. And that's just like one of the number one rules of sports. Slow and steady wins the race. I know that's just a cliche, but these cliches come from points of life that are true. They ring true, So, yes, and that's any sport. Slow and steady. You have to build up slowly to the point. None of these athletes that you see started where they're at. They had to build there.
Right. And the last thing you want to do is to overtax yourself with weight rooms, the heat, being outside, especially as hot as it has been like Monday. Sure wouldn't want to be outside for any length of time on Monday if you were having a breathing issue or if you're having any kind of heat issue. You can get dehydrated in a heartbeat when it's 103 degrees,
oh, yes,
and then
you can.
110 with the heat index. It doesn't take long to really zap you of your strength, and that's just on a regular day.
That is, yes,
you can imagine an athlete.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, when I was in the military and we were marching in the heat, they made us stop and drink. We had to have a full canteen. There was a reason for that, We had to stop and rehydrate or we would fall out.
And let's warn people, Shelly, because a lot of people say, well, I'm outside, I'm doing my thing, and when I get thirsty, I'll drink, and that'll replenish my hydration. Nuh-uh, it does not. You need to hydrate the day before, don't you, before you're going to go out and do any major
that's
activity,
always
especially
a good
in this
idea.
kind of heat.
Yes, it's always a good idea just to keep that baseline hydration at a good level. So, yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise you can be very, very surprised how quickly you get lightheaded or all of a sudden you just don't feel like you have any energy and you wear out very quickly.
Correct. And it's the same way with the cold weather. After a certain point, our minds just don't work correctly when we're dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't even think correctly. So we don't think to drink. Our bodies aren't functioning like they normally would. So that thirst does not necessarily trigger when we're
Right.
dehydrated.
And when when you don't drink and your muscles, they'll start to wear down. You're going to get tired. It's a great way to pull a muscle, get hurt, and when you get hurt, then you're going. Here we are sitting out 2-3 weeks trying to get back because we did something that we probably, if we were just thinking a little bit, we probably wouldn't have done.
Right. And I'll be delighted to see you when that happens.
Oh, I
but
understand. And you are. She is a delight to go talk to. And you're not going to get in and out of there in 5 minutes. 'Cause we're going to have stories to tell and stuff.
we're going to have some laughs and some stories.
Sure. But the idea, it's still all serious business.
It is.
And the idea is she's trying, Shelly tries to get to know her patients. That's great. I think that's fantastic. But then if you don't feel comfortable explaining to her what you're doing, how are you going to trust her as a doctor if you're not going to trust her with what the issues are that are bothering you?
Right. And I always like to just bring it up. I'll just bring it up. I'm not one to.
You're not timid.
Yeah, I don't tiptoe around any subject.
No, not many. I don't think any. But we're here to talk about sports physicals, and really because this time of year, there's a lot of camps going on, football camps right around the corner, volleyball camps right. I mean, the actual getting into the practice sessions right around the corner, guys. I mean, it's not going to be too long at all. And school's back in session in August. We're about a month away, so
Yeah.
That's starting, and so it won't be long for the practices to get underway. I think actually next week, is when football gets started.
I think so.
believe so. So if you haven't had a physical and you need a physical, please, July 25th through 29th, SMDH Family Medicine. It's in Physician's Office Building 3.
Correct.
8 to 6, you guys are open 5 days a week?
Yes, we are. 8 to 6. 5 days a week. So you can always get in. Always get in. Like I said, make an appointment, walk in. We'll take you.
729-8000, the number.
Correct, yes.
And you can ask for a specific doctor. You can ask for Dr. Bland or Shelly, her mom, and Dr. Al, whatever. They may be booked. You may have to go to somebody else. That's fine. You got some great people over there. And Jimmy Bell's going to be coming on pretty soon,
Yes, he
right?
is. Yeah.
So,
In August sometime. I'm not quite sure on
Right,
the
I'm
date,
not
so I don't
sure
want to make
either.
any official
no,
announcement
but
on
not
that.
not for these physicals yet. But
Yeah,
he'll
not
be
for these
coming on. So
physicals, yeah.
we add another nice nurse practitioner to the mix over there.
Exactly. Yeah.
It'll be a lot of good. So July 25th to 29th, and the August dates are again, in case they missed those. Can you dig those up for me?
I'm digging them up. August 15th through 19th.
Okay.
And then I'll just go ahead and say the October dates are the 10th through the 14th. And of course, if you have any family members or viburnum, we're there August 5th.
Right.
So
So you can be down that way. Yeah, you can just head on down. And where's that going to be held in Viburnum?
in the school.
At the school?
At the school,
At the
yeah.
gym?
I'm not quite sure if it's going to be at the gym or the nurse,
I
but
would-
we'll make an
I would have to
announcement
think
on that.
August
Yeah.
5th. I'd
Yeah.
have to think it'd be at the gym. You would
Might
think.
as well. They wear me out doing these physicals. Nobody knows what the duck walk is, Dan. So I have to demonstrate it.
To every single one of them. Oh, man. Oh, that's great. That's great. All right. Well, anyway, don't take these physicals lightly. They are a much, much needed thing. I know I had a real good friend of mine actually get diagnosed with a problem with his heart. He had a hole in his heart, and
Yes.
they found that in a physical.
Correct.
When they listened to his heart, and they didn't like what they heard, and they took the chest X-ray, and they made him actually do a stress test on him. I guess that. I don't know how this works, so I can't really tell you. But it seemed, I think, the hole enlarged when he got active.
Yes, yes.
And they were afraid, and he actually had to go have surgery.
Right. Yeah. A lot of times the hole can enlarge when you're active, and that's why we make you do certain movements when we're auscultating the heart sounds, is so that we can hear, like when there's pressure on the heart. So sometimes we'll make you lean forward and hold your breath to kind of vagal down to get that sound at that certain point.
No,
So,
and then
yeah.
there's always a stress test to
Yes.
find out. If you go
Yes.
through a stress test and everything's good, well, maybe you're fine. But if they still continue to hear something that doesn't sound right, get it checked. Don't put it off.
Correct. And that's what this is about. It's about wellness and prevention. And I'd rather see my patients through wellness and prevention than
And for a long time,
injuries. Yes, absolutely.
rather than have something happen,
Right.
God forbid. I have not personally had any friend pass at an early age, but you hear of it on the
Oh,
news.
correct.
18,
Yes.
16, 17 years old with heart problems, and they weren't diagnosed, and the next thing you know, there's a problem. So,
Right, right.
and I think too, Shelly, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but we live in a little bit softer era now than we did 50 years ago. A lot of people didn't have air conditioning years ago, and you had to be tough, a little bit tougher than getting in air. Now, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with air conditioning. It's a great thing to have.
Correct.
But when you lived in a little bit harder lifestyle, you're in better shape. I guess my thing is your body had to be in better shape back then.
Correct. Better functioning shape.
There you
Yes. I agree with that, Stan. I always think it's good, no matter what the weather, to just get out in that air a little bit, that outside air. Even if you can't tolerate it for a long period of time, just a small amount of time in that outside air will help you adjust. And like we were talking about, slow and steady. If you're going to be playing baseball and you're in the air conditioning all the time, you need to make sure you're out there in that weather at least twice a day just to be adjusted to it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was talking to one of my coworkers here. We were talking about this very thing, and he used to live in Arizona. And when I would go play ball in St. Louis, and I'd leave, I never used the air conditioner. I'd drive up and get all the way up there, and and then, well, why wouldn't you use the air conditioner? I get up there, why'd you use the air conditioner? I said, I'm gonna go play ball and sweat. Why would I want to get cool in that car? Step outside and whoom. That's harder to come back from that than it is to stay in a steady atmosphere that's warm. Your body gets used to it. It gets acclimated to the warmth. And in that way, you're fine, and you grow with the warmth. Your body, works with it much better than going from 72 degrees to 98.
right. And our airways are kind of strange characters. They react to different changes in weather. And if you go from hot to cold quickly, your airway can react and it causes constriction. And the same is with the opposite condition. Your
Exactly.
airway definitely reacts to quick changes.
Yeah,
So,
I think people feel it more in the winter because they can feel that ice almost feeling going
Right.
right down into their chest. So very good. Physicals, free physicals. All you got to do is go to SMDH, Physician's Office Building 3, between the dates of July 25th to the 29th or August 15th through the 19th. Now, if you would like to make an appointment, your wait will be less, 729-8000, but walk-ins are welcome. Now, the youngsters do need to have a parent with them.
yes.
Correct. Because they can't, unless they're 18, they can't really sign anything, right?
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
So-
And it's always good to have that history because we're talking cardiac. We need to know if there's been a sudden cardiac death
Yeah,
in that
in the
family.
too.
So,
So remember, you need a family member or a guardian to go with them, and make sure you get that done before sports starts because you really hate to not be able to participate in camps if you don't have the physical.
and they will not let you.
They will not let you as well. 729-8000. Shelly, always a pleasure to have you come in. Good. She brightens up the place with her smile or laughter, and it really does make it a lot more fun. And when you go see her over there at POB3, same way, nothing changes.
Nothing
You
changes,
can pretty well
Dan.
know what you're going to expect. See, thank you again for coming in.
Thank you for having me,
That's
Stan.
Shelly Bland, family nurse practitioner, SMDH Family Clinic. Free sports physicals, again, July 25th to the 9th, 29th, and August 15th through the 19th. Civic happenings coming up shortly.